So if I look exactly the same as how I did in last week's video, it's because I'm recording this one about 10 minutes after the last one. The only difference is I've had some water, I've eaten a little bit of chocolate, and in the last video I didn't mention Darwin whatsoever. So there he is. Yeah, mate. He's going to grumble constantly because he's not tucked into the blanket, so I should probably just tuck him in right now. Hold up. You happy? Alright, I have to go back and do the thing. He'll get confused because he doesn't know who I'm speaking to. I think I'm writing a book. That's kind of the thing I've been working on. I got no notes on this video. I've just got the mind palace that is my brain. Sorry, this chair is obnoxiously creaky. I am constantly looking at new chairs and then never actually purchasing them because I'm trying to be more frugal. Yeah, a couple of months ago, I journal every day, right? Every morning I wake up and I journal. And there was sort of two things that spurred on this this potential book that I say is a potential book. It's gonna be a book. I've written 20,000 words already. Shit words, or like, very, very drafty words, but I'm already now kind of, the marketing brain is going, and that's all this is, this video, and whatever comes after, it's just to make you buy the fucking thing, so I don't waste my time doing it. But no, in all honesty, I guess that is honest, but more honesty, more depth. There was sort of two things spurred this on. One, I was journaling anyway, and just one day, I think I'd forgotten to journal in the morning, and I just ended up writing like, I don't know, a few hundred words, maybe 1,000 words about like an earlier stage in the last kind of 20 years. Like, I just was thinking back to a time period and sort of wrote something, but as I was writing it, I kind of just felt this, I don't know, I was writing it in a slightly more storytelling way, I guess. And at the same time, I was doing a lot of thinking of like, okay, well, how are other ways I can increase my revenue streams, and like how other ways to earn money? Because obviously, as I covered in the last video, like Star is now my sort of full-time job, but I'm trying to limit how much time and energy I put into other things. In fact, I didn't want to do anything for 6 months to a year, but this thing kind of just crept in, and thankfully, because it is purely just like a creative thing that I'm chipping away at, and I'm trying to write every single day, I could basically just end up doing it either early in the morning or sort of fairly late at night once Sarah's gone to bed, because she is a teacher and goes to bed very early. And as much as I'm not a night owl, I can stay up for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and bang out like another 1,000 words or something. And I'm having so much fucking fun. So obviously in the build up to Motors closing down, I had this idea of wanting to do this 20-year anniversary project, celebrating kind of 20 years since John London, and I wanted to do a documentary, I wanted to do a photo book, and an action thing, and a clothing collection, and all this stuff, and then all that kind of got put to bed. And then I just started writing that thing, and kind of slowly this like thing expanded in my brain, and ultimately what I think I am writing, and much like the term entrepreneur, I hate this fucking term, but it sort of seems to be that I am writing somewhat of a memoir of the last 20 years of my life, from sort of September 2003 onwards. And initially, as I started writing this thing, I wrote a bit that was like super sarcastic and like taking the piss out of myself for being pretentious enough to write a memoir, and another bit where I was like, occasionally I was writing kind of almost like a tally of times I was beating myself up over past mistakes, like another time that I was a fucking idiot and did this. And then as the time has gone on, what I have realized is that actually this is proving to be just an insanely positive exercise for me in like gratitude and kind of letting go of some of the resentment I've had for myself for past mistakes that I've made. Because the sort of the broad look at it is that in the last 20 years, from sort of age 13 to now 33, you know, I'm not Drake, I'm not Ed Sheeran, I haven't fucking done everything and all this, but I have had an incredibly sort of usual life, career path, many sort of different hats, job roles, many different countries traveled to, many different experiences. I've had a lot of fucking fun, and I've fucked up a lot as well, and I've you know, started businesses, closed them down, lost business partners, sort of made friends, lost friends. Like, there's been so much that's gone on. And looking back briefly over the years, when I've done it, you know, I'll be walking the dog and I'll be getting pissed off over something that I messed up on. It's always negative. It's always just like, oh, fuck's sake, why did I do that? Fuck, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. Da, 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 da. And now it's like I'm expanding and I'm going in deep and I'm just exploring all these different topics. So essentially what I am writing is my last 20 years of life, and trying to pull from that things that I have learned, at the same time pulling, you know, because I don't fucking know it all now. I'm just kind of pulling from the headspace I'm at now, looking back and kind of going, oh, I did that. Like, I did that, and now here's what I think about it, and this is also what I used to think about it and things. And alongside all that, I'm trying to pack in as many fun parkour related stories that I have sort of been involved in over the last 20 years, because I've had a lot of fun ones and been involved in a lot of really sort of big, impactful projects in the history of the sport. And yeah, it's this insane feeling of kind of gratitude, and also like one of the things when I was thinking like, oh, you know, what other ways could I maybe make some more money? Because as I said in the last video, I've incurred some debt from shutting down Motus, and I would like to get rid of that as quickly as possible. And I'm obviously sort of, with the money I earn from my job, paying that down as sort of quickly as I can, but it's like I have a child and a family thing, so I have to do it in a budget. And I was thinking like, oh, you know, I've got here a big old like box, terabytes and terabytes of footage, and that was kind of the first thing. I was like, I could make another Life is Fun style video and sell it. Done that before, sold Destroyer, made tens of thousands of pounds. Could do that technically. Inspiration to do that, fucking zero. Just like, thought about it, just couldn't be fucked. I do really like making videos, but right now it's just not something that is at the forefront of what I want to do. And as I have gone backwards and looked at my last sort of my life, I've come to realise that I do really like to try out new creative pursuits, whether that is, you know, filming, sort of editing, graphic design, now writing, like starting a brand, different things in business, podcasting, making videos, the flow show, whatever. Like, I've always been quite keen at just going, well, I haven't done that before, and it seems kind of scary to do it, and some people might think I'm an idiot, but kind of, I don't care. Like, my own worst critic is myself, and it's always in hindsight. Like, you know, a year's time I'll probably look back on this, or maybe my pursuit to write a book, and be like, you're a fucking idiot, why'd you waste your time doing that? But I won't know that until I make that mistake, and having then made that mistake, I would have learned a substantial amount to help me then do more cool things moving forward. The last thing I want to do is look back at the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years and go, I've just done the same fucking thing. Because that's the sad reality. And it sounds really mean, but there's so many people out there. It's kind of almost the norm of people who just, they could look back at 10 years ago and they're still working in the same company doing pretty much the same thing. You know, technology's changed, relationships and things change, but like, where's the progression? So that's the realization that I've had, is that like, I'm writing this thing. I obviously want to make it interesting and entertaining, and I do believe that I could drum up a bit of interest and hopefully sell a few, but at the same time I don't, you know, I'm going to try because I like the challenge of marketing and selling something. Like, I'm 100% going to try and get you to fucking buy this thing, but very, very, very much this is like a very internal creative pursuit and something that I'm really excited about, just seeing whether or not I can do it. It's May 17th now. As I said, I've written like 20,000 words. My Googling has revealed that kind of, a decent length memoir is 50, 65, 80,000 words. So I've kind of got this figure in my head of like 65,000 words. I'm working at a really good pace. Like, I haven't really come across any kind of writer's block. Maybe I will the second this video goes live. I'll be like, oh shit, now everyone knows. But I sort of, I would like for it to come out in a similar time period to what I wanted this London thing to come out. So like September. I don't know if that is at all feasible. I'm not looking at doing some massive, like, get it on Amazon and da-da-da-da-da. Like, I'll self-publish the thing. It was also, I realised that years ago in, I think, 2020, 2019, I did that little, if anyone remembers on the Merch podcast, this March Money Challenge with Max and Keelan, and I challenged them to try and earn £500 in March, and Max was the only one who actually succeeded in it, and he wrote a little book about his life up until that point. A much, much shorter thing, like a kind of little volume, but he did it. He was transparent about the fact that he was doing it. He kind of marketed it and sold it, and people bought it. So yeah, that's it really. I like the idea of doing it. I like the challenge. I'm excited for the potential mistakes I'm going to make. That's what I was going to say. Sorry. So I'm just going to like self-publish it, put some money into getting a few copies made up, put it on a Shopify site, and probably do some pre-orders or whatever. I assume maybe a digital version as well, because at the end of the day, that's a glorified PDF and technically more profitable. But yeah, I haven't, I've done a little bit of thinking about it, but I haven't gone crazy thinking at that stage. I'm just really enjoying this like therapeutic feeling of sitting down pretty much every single day in the evenings and just churning out stuff. And yeah, as I said, very, very drafty at the moment. I haven't really revisited much. I'm trying to write in broad depth, and then I want to refine it, and then there'll be probably a lot of chopping around of timelines and trying to make it, because I've realized that a lot of the stuff that I did, whether it was sort of the transitioning from being a filmmaker and sort of moving away from like the Visive thing and the starting of Motus, and those things all kind of happened in a blend of time. Also, my life was fucking insane in the sense that I didn't realize that how tight some of the timelines I had, where it was like, oh, come back from this project. That seemed like a big event, big workload, something that I would have been excited about for that to be a one-off thing, and then immediately go off on a US tour of Off the Edge, and then come back from that for a few weeks, and then fucking go off on a US tour of the Storm film, and then RCA. Like, I'm really fucking grateful for the last 2 decades, predominantly like the last, I guess, like 15, 12 years, because that's where all the kind of action happened. And it's, as I said, it's just really fun to explore. So I want to continue these videos, and I don't really know how, other than just little updates of like, I've written another 1,000 words. But what I actually haven't yet done is, and it seems like the obvious thing to do, but for some reason I haven't needed to yet, is I haven't looked back at a lot of the past videos I made or featuring of the events and things that I'm writing about, because one, I don't need to, in the sense that my memory is seemingly serving fairly well. And two, I'm slightly wary of watching back something and then only remembering the moments that are seen in the video. Whereas what I'm trying to do with the book is kind of show or tell more stories that maybe weren't captured on film, or dig deeper into certain areas. Like, the last thing I fucking want this thing to be is like and then we went there, and then we did this, and then we did that. So there's going to be some stuff that maybe people think, oh, we're going to get a full 3-month breakdown of like filming Roof Culture Asia or whatever like this, and it will be really, really in depth. I haven't touched that section of the book yet, but it might not be. It's probably more realistically going to explore the struggles that I had dealing with the fact that it was just intense for me. I haven't sort of put my head in that space yet, but I know if I watched Roof Culture prior to doing that, it would probably warp what would end up coming out. But so what I was thinking I might do at some stage is maybe do some like screen recorded me watching a video and kind of talking about it and highlighting some of these things, just because I personally enjoy kind of reaction videos on YouTube, and I don't know whether that would be appealing. But yeah, that's kind of all I've got to say on that fact. As I said, I'd like to keep these videos going. The other thing that a lot of people do ask me is like, is the Merch podcast going to come back? I think given that we basically have not talked about it for the last 5-6 months, probably not. The Stora podcast is obviously kind of going strong. There's some discussions we've had with regards to putting more effort into that, or, you know, part of me does like the idea of starting my own podcast and just interviewing people I find exciting and sort of inspiring, but also that's another one of those things that I don't want to do right now. Like, I want to focus on Stora because I want to do my best work there, and to be honest, just then splitting my time into being a family man and then doing this book thing on the side feels like a fairly good balance. Like, I know I could do more and I could stay up later and I could try and earn more money, but right now my priorities are watching Daisy grow up, doing my best work for Stora, and exploring this creative thing of which I've set some element of a deadline to. And I know if I take on too much and I spread myself too thin, none of it will fucking get done and it'll be pointless. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Appreciate any, you know, feedback, comments, shit. Call me a scumbag in the comments or whatever, and then I'll reply, and then we can boost the algorithm and that'll help the views or something. Don't actually call me a scumbag, because I'll forget I said that and then get really confused and worried and think that everyone hates me. If anyone's got experience writing and kind of self-publishing, let me know. I've already been speaking to Max Henry. He's one of the few people I've kind of got in my roster of people I've told. But yeah. Oh, the little wiggy waggy tail. He just looks like a killer whale to me with his... Can you hear the fucking road? I'm going to sell my book for £10 million and buy a mansion, and then I don't have to live next to a main road anymore. Good night.